At least 6,000 South African post office workers are expected to lose their jobs. The post office recently serving its staff with retrenchment letters, a decision that's been widely criticized by unions. Let's get an update now from the CEO, Nomkhita Mona, who's joining us this hour on Today via Zoom. Ms. Mona, good afternoon. Welcome to Today, and thank you very much for your time this afternoon. So where are you at currently in the process of reducing the headcount in the post office?
Good afternoon, Mr. Moyane, and thank you for having us. So what we have done in the past week is we have served a notice, which is a formal notice of our intention to invoke Section 189 of the LRA. And this notice is actually not the first one that we are serving, only that this is the formal one because it's also accompanied by the form that comes from the CCMA. In November last year, we did actually write to the unions and giving our intention to invoke the same clause of the Labour Relations Act. So that is where we are. But I also want to mention that we are still talking, we are still engaging. There are a lot of options that we are looking at. However, we thought it would be prudent for the employer to start the process because the process will take at the very least 3 months.
Okay, how many letters have been served?
Just two. Just to the union. So we haven't quite engaged the employees yet because we are not at that point at the stage.
You are broke. You told me last time that you don't have money. The last time we spoke here, the post office is broke. Mm-hmm. When you do a retrenchment package in terms of the LRA, the Labour Relations Act, the severance packages that come into play, how do you plan to fund that?
This is a good question because you know, we have come to a point where we can't even afford to retrench. So at this point, we did actually go to the National Treasury and we had asked them for some kind of assistance that would allow us and assist us to do that. But what we have done, since we've been waiting for funding for as long as I've actually been at the post office and nothing has come through, we had then initiated a negotiation with our employees who have opted to take a severance package, which is voluntary. So even those who have taken it, because we couldn't pay anything upfront, we have negotiated with them such that we pay it off. I mean, I think this is a first, but they have accepted it because they understand the situation of the company. But yes, your question does remain valid. Even as we start this process, we're going to need to find money to be able to fund it.
So the agreement with those who've accepted the severance packages is that you'll pay them over time as soon as you get that money. Any word yet from Treasury about your appeal for the funds?
We are waiting. So we're waiting with bated breath for the minister's speech on the 22nd of Feb, at which time we would then hear what the Treasury has decided.
Okay, let's look at the numbers that will be involved. Last time you gave us a breakdown. There was the phase one where I guess over 600 jobs were cut in 2021. What are the new numbers you are looking at? Because you had a particular target you wanted to get to in terms of your staff complement.
Yes, this is correct. So what we did in 2021, around October, when we finalized the strategy, which is called the Post Office of Tomorrow, at the time, we had 15,600 people working for us. And we had thought that we would be able to do the work with 9,000 people, maybe 9,600. So that's where the number of 6,000 comes from. So we then had said that as we implement the strategy, we would, take the people out in tranches. So year one would have been 3,000, year two would have been another 3,000. But because we had still not been funded up to now, we then started a process of the voluntary severance package. Since then, we have had 1,724 employees accept the voluntary severance package, and they have since left the employ of SAPO. And we also have people applying every month.
So what's the current number you have of staff?
Currently, we're sitting at 12,513.
So to get to that 9,600, there's some 3,000 workers that need to be retrenched. Am I correct? Is that so? It's no longer 6,000. It was 6,000 from the original 15,000.
Yes, that is correct. And remember, I've said that 1,724 have actually taken the VSP, but others have left out of natural attrition. Some of them have retired, some of them had resigned. So that's what makes up that number at this point.
Yeah. So it would be correct to headline that you've started a process rather from now on while you are still consulting of retrenching another 3,000 employees.
I'm happy with this correction because it was, I think, sensationalized. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just going to be just over in fact, it's 4,273 when I was calculating it earlier, because we are marrying it to the 1,724 that's already left, and we're not counting those who would have retired.
Yeah. So the trade unions don't have it correct to say today you're still planning to cut 6,000 jobs. Last year, that was the plan. This year, the number has gone down.
That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. And then strategy-wise, you've presented a number of turnaround strategies. You've mentioned now the new one, the post office of tomorrow. Very briefly, Ms. Mona, in less than a minute, where are you in the implementation of that turnaround strategy, the post office of tomorrow?
We have implemented as far as we could without funding while we wait for funding. So we haven't moved far enough, but at least whatever we thought we could do without any specific funding, we have done it. So we're quite excited about where we are, but we are more excited about the future after we've received the funding so that we can implement the strategy.
Yeah, hopefully next week, Wednesday, Enoch Godongwana in Parliament will send some money your way in the post office. Thank you very much for your time. Chief Executive Officer of a financially struggling post office, Nomkhita Mona, just setting the record straight. When they began the process to reduce the staff complement of the post office last year, they needed to shed some 6,000 jobs. A lot has happened in between, including over 1,000 employees taking severance packages and others leaving by all sorts of attrition, including taking early retirement and so on. Now they are left about over 3,000 employees who are likely to be retrenched, but the consultations are still going on.